Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 5-9 of the study guide. This lesson can be found on page 115. So when we talk about similar figures, we're talking about two different concepts here. We're talking about corresponding parts and congruent. What do these mean? Corresponding parts means parts of similar figures that match. Okay, so the same sides. Okay, the same sides that match. And congruent means line sections that have the same length or angles that have the same measure. So essentially it means congruent means the same. Okay, for vocabulary, write the definition of similar figures in your own words. Similar figures. I would say that they're figures that have the same angles but may differ in size. The size difference is proportional. This is how I would say it. So it's same. The angles would be the same, but the sides, for example, can be different. The sides can be different or bigger or smaller, but we know that all the sides or all the sides will differ in proportionally. Okay, so the size difference is proportional. So the sides, each side of the square will be proportional. Let's look at the real world link. The spar and spine of a kite are the sticks that hold the kite's shape, the cross that you see here. This cross, that's the spar and the spine. Okay, and we have the cross. Jamal is using the pattern at the right to make a kite with wooden dowels and nylon fabric. Suppose Jamal wants to make a kite with spine and bar lengths that are 2/3 the pattern's length. What should be the length of the kite's spine and spar? So we're looking for 2/3. Okay, I hope you picked up on that. We're looking for 2/3. So we're looking for 2/3 of this number and 2/3 of this number. In order for us to find out what 2/3 of these numbers are, we have to know what these numbers divide by. What do we get when we divide these numbers by 3? Okay, if I were to divide this number by 3, 96. Okay, 96 divided by 3 is 32, right? 32. That would be 1/3. 32 over 96 is 1/3. But I need 2/3. I want 2/3. So I would have to double this, right? To double it so I can have two of them would become 64 over 96. Okay, so that's 2/3 there and 2/3 here. And when I divide, I get 84 divided by 3. I'm going to get divided by 3. I'm going to get 28. So 28 over 84 is 1/3. I need 2/3. So I have to double the 28. When I double 28, I get 56. So 56 over 84 is 2/3. Okay. So what should be the lengths of the kite's spine and spar? Well, the spine is 64 centimeters. And the spar is 56 centimeters. There we go. As we get 2/3 of these numbers. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Fill in the boxes to write a ratio that compares the spine lengths of the pattern and the kite. Well, we said that 96 is the pattern, right? The pattern that we have. 96 is our spine, right? Our spine there of the pattern, right? The spine is what we're looking for. In the real kite, it's going to be 2/3. So 2/3 of that will be 64, right? And then for number 3, fill in the box to write the ratio that compares the spar. Okay, now we're doing the spar. The pattern, it says 84 on the pattern, and when we found 2/3 of 84, we got 56. So there's our ratios when we compare the pattern to the real world and the pattern to the real world. Okay. Why are the spine lengths and spar lengths of the pattern and the kite proportional? Why are they proportional? Well, 96 over 64 is 3/2, because if I divide them both, I get 3/2. And 84 over 56 is also 3/2. Now, I could have written them upside down and said 2/3, right? They're both 2/3, and that's what we were looking for. We were looking for 2/3 on both sides. And yes, that's why it's proportional. Since the ratios are the same, the spine lengths and the spar lengths are proportional. Please copy this down. As you know, these are key answers. Okay, on the next page, let's refer to the similar triangles below. Okay, we see that triangle ABC is similar to triangle XYZ, right? And we see here that it's proportional because 3 becomes 6. So we can see that that was doubled. Okay, this side was doubled. And then that means the 5 should become 10. And yeah, it does. It's doubled. And 4 should be, if doubled, will become 8. And yes, it is. So list the congruent angles. Remember that the word congruent means the same. Okay, this means the same. So let's list the angles that are the same. So I know that angle A is going to be the same as angle A. Right here, this little angle in there should be the same as angle X. So angle A is going to be the same as angle X, or similar. So angle A and angle X. Angle B and angle Y. Angle C and angle Z. Okay, as you can see here, angle C and angle Z. Now we must list the corresponding sides. So side AB, we can write like this, line AB, and it's similar to line line XY, right? And we can say that line BC right here is similar to line YZ. So line BC similar to line YZ line, and line AC is similar to line XZ. Explain the process you would use to find the value of X, here's X, if ABCD, if figure ABCD right here, is similar to EFGH, EFGH. Now what's happening here, boys and girls, is that one is upside down. Okay, now let's say we were to flip this one around, this part will be on the top matching this part. Got it? And this side would be, this is the shorter side, I guess, would be matching this side. And the longer part would be matching this longer side. And the bottom would be matching this side. Now I believe that if I were to compare the sides here, this side, the 10 would go with the 7.5, right? And I see that we went up by 1/3. We went up by 1/3, right? Or we went down by a quarter. You could also say that. We went up by 1/3 or by a quarter. When I say we went up by 1/3, we have to find what 1/3 of 7.5 is, and it's 2.5. So if I go up by 2.5, I go up to 10. Or if I say I go down by 1/4, I have to find out what 1/4 of 10 is. It's 2.5. So I went down by 2.5. So first I would reposition one of the figures. Either flip this one upside down or flip this one upright. Okay? I would reposition the figures. Then identify a pair of corresponding sides. For example, I told you to compare, if I flip it around, I know that this 7.5 centimeters is going to correspond with this 10 centimeter, right? And set up a ratio to find the scale factor. If I were to set up the ratio, I know that, for example, 7.5 to 10, right? I see that ratio is 3/4. You see that? And that would be my scale factor. I would find my scale factor. And lastly, use the scale factor to set up and solve a proportion to find X. So next we would want to find X, right? And we can match side BC to side GF, and we would find the proportion. So if this one is 3/4 of this one, well, if I added a quarter to this, it would make, or a third. I would have to find a third of this because I found a third of here. If I find a third and add a third to this, it's 1.5. It would make it 6, right? So if I went up by 1/3, because that's what we're doing here. We're going up by 1/3 to make it 10, right? 1/3 to make it 4. So same here. I would add 1/3 to it to make it 6, and that would be my answer. Please copy all these steps because these are the steps that we actually follow for every time we need to solve for a side that we don't know. And finally, please copy down what you learned today. You learned what congruent meant. You found corresponding sides. You learned to identify corresponding sides and angles. You found the value of a variable of one side by finding the scale factor. You did all those things, believe it or not. Okay, that's all for today. See you in class.